Hi everybody, welcome to tonight's Taubmans live colour advice session. I do apologise to everybody for our technical difficulties that we had earlier this evening, which has led us to be a little bit late with tonight's session. Love technology most of the time. So again, apologies. So welcome everybody, thank you for joining us. Tonight's session is all about frequently asked questions. My name's Fiona, I'm the Taubmans Colour Specialist, and we are here to answer all of your frequently asked questions. What we do is we have a look at all of our social media feeds, etc., and we base these sessions around questions that viewers like yourself constantly ask. So we've got quite a few, but before we begin, I will just go through the housekeeping. So just to let you know that I will be on screen for the next half an hour to answer all of your questions. And while I'm on screen, please use this as an opportunity to have a voice and pop any questions that you would like some information about into our feed. So the unfortunate thing is while I'm on screen, you're unable to upload any photographs or images that you might be wanting some assistance on. So if you can hold off until we finish streaming after half an hour, then pop them into the feed, then I'll be able to view them for you. So I'm on screen for half an hour, then I'm off screen for a further half an hour or so until we finish answering all of your questions. So as I said, we are all about frequently asked questions, but certainly use this as an opportunity to ask anything. You may be embarking on a certain project that you'd like to know some information about, or you might just like to know about the wonderful portfolio of products that we have available to beautify and protect your space. So you've certainly come to the right place to get some help, and certainly all around colour. That's what we're here for. So we've got tonight's first question. And it did, before I go on about the frequently asked questions, I'll answer this one. So that has come from Janice Tran. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. And I do apologise about being late. Your question is, if my floor tiles are off-white and my kitchen is bright white, can my walls be white? And if so, what kind of white? Really good question. So I guess the thing to have a look at is to work out the undertone of the existing whites within your space. So you're telling me that you have an off-white. So I would be looking to see whether the off-white tends to throw a little bit more yellow or has, like a creamy sort of effect, if you like. But if you're wanting to know a white that's going to work with, let's say, a cream undertone, etc., a white that is more of a neutral undertone, which has a slight green undertone, tends to work extremely well with varying whites within a space. Because it's got that neutral undertone, it's easily adaptable and almost sort of like chameleon-like, so it will sit really, really well. So it depends on the level of colour that you're after as well. Automatically, I think of something like Alpine Snow or South Pole, Aspen Snow. These are types of whites that I know would sit really well. So I'll bring them up onto my screen. Let's hope this works after all the technical difficulties that we have had this evening. So I'm going to go to my laptop. Yes, and I'm going to pop myself up into the corner. We are cooking with gas. Okay, so the best place when you are embarking on a colour journey and you're not sure where to begin, this is a fantastic place and it is easy to access. So it's www.taubmans.com.au, and there is a world of knowledge within our website, and it has been laid out, if you like, to make it really user friendly. So as you can see, we can go to the color drop down menu and we're going to hit paint colors. And it's going to work, wonderful. And if we scroll down, you can see that all of the colors on screen there have been grouped by color family, if you like. So it makes it really, really easy to begin. So of course I'm going to hit whites and neutrals. And then it gives us at the top menu here our most popular whites. And now our number one white is crisp white, and this is certainly a white, Janice, that you could look at as well. Now crisp white is a beautiful white that has the tint that is in crisp white is a color called raw umber. So it's quite, I'm going to make it sound horrible, but it's kind of a murky brown tint that goes in it. But what it does is it creates the most beautiful white that has a very soft glow, and it works in so many environments. And I adore this color, and I have it on all of my walls in my space, ceilings, doors, trims, and I've recently just had a brand new kitchen put in, and I have used this for my joinery, and it looks sensational. So that is a white that I would certainly recommend having a look at. And you can scroll down here, and I'm just going, so here is crisp white here, but you really need to, and the other one that you could also look at is a color here called Aspen Snow. But be very mindful of the fact that we are looking at a computer screen, and what you're seeing is only indicative of the color. And what I always recommend, and I know I bang on about this every single week, is to get yourself a sample pot. I'm just going to see if the other color that I really love is in here as well. If not, I'll show you another way where you can find color. Let me take you to another area. There is one more spot, and then I'll talk about the sample pot. So we can go to, if I just hit colors, and hopefully when I scroll right down to the order color swatches, so you can view the swatch shop. Now if I click on this, fantastic. Here you can, if you know the name of the color that you're wanting to search, and in this instance I do, it is called Alpine Snow. Here we go, it's come straight up. This is another color that I would certainly recommend you have a look at. So view color details, and up comes the color in a larger spans, if you like. All of the information around the color is here, and the LRV, etc., which is your light reflectance value. So this is another color. So have a look at crisp white, Alpine Snow, and Aspen Snow to begin your white journey. I will come back to the camera. I'll come back to the screen. Okay, so when I talk, and I'll quickly talk about this, when we talk about sampling a white, and given that you already have floor tiles, and so floor tiles that are an off-white and a bright white kitchen, I would recommend getting yourself a piece of cardboard, and you're wanting it to be at least 1 meter by 1 meter square. Now, when you go to your local hardware store, when the paint cans come in on pallets, they have what's called pallet liners, and I'm sure they'd be very obliging to give you one of those. And then brush out 3 coats of your sample pot onto that piece of cardboard. Once dry, move the cardboard around the space, and paying particular attention, so put it down near the floor tiles so you can see how it sits with the floor tiles. Don't lay it on the floor tiles, put it up against it, because that's how you're going to view the color. And also up near the ceiling where it, up near the ceiling, right up the top there where the wall meets the ceiling is also where you want to place the swatch, and have a look at how the color sits within its environment, how it plays under natural light and also under artificial light, because colors have a tendency to sort of change within a space. And also have a look at it sitting against your bright white kitchen. That would be my recommendation. And I think that's a really, really good place to start. So I hope that helps you. Okay, I do have another question. Thank you, Daniel Johnson, for joining us. And your question is, what current colours are good with faded manor red roof? So I guess when I think of red and working with the opposite on the colour wheel, you're going to have something that has a green undertone. So you could certainly look, greys are very much in, and working with a grey that has a green undertone, or again a neutral undertone, is going to sit extremely well with that. You can also look at, because greys are, as I said, very much on trend, and there seems to be still a love for Hamptons, and if you are aware, Hamptons use a lot of beautiful greys. So if you've got a faded manor red roof, I've just got my fan deck here, so just bear with me while I put my head down for a moment. I'm thinking of something that has a slight green undertone. So again, and I'll talk about the greys while I've got my head down. Greys can be categorized as either having a brown undertone, which makes them a greyish, a purple or red undertone, a blue undertone, which tends to make the grey quite cool, or a green undertone, which is, or I like to refer to it as a neutral undertone. And anybody that's embarking on a journey with greys, and we do have so many people that are at the moment because it's such an on-trend colour, if you start your colour exploration looking at greys that have that green undertone, I think that you'll find quite a lot of success. And because that type of grey is very, very easy to work with. I've also got my Mana Red here while I'm talking. And I know that the neutral-based greys, they just sit really, really well, whether you're coastal, whether you're sort of, you know, in a leafy, hilly, green sort of backdrop environment, etc. So, yeah, that's where I'd start. So I'm just looking here. And also, too, it depends on what depth of colour you want. And the other things that I will consider, we've got your roof colour, but also what other colours sit within the existing dwelling. Like what colour windows do you have? Because when you're looking at doing a colour scheme, it's really good to take all of the elements that exist within your space and pop them sort of all on the table if you like, and then start to think about your colour scheme. So I know I'm talking a lot and I need to be looking at colours. All right, so something that has a bit of a green undertone, being in the realms of grey, we could look at, I think I'm still flustered from not being able to get on today. Okay, there is a colour, oh, there's a colour here, maybe, actually that could work quite nice. So you could have a look at a colour called Taubmans Malamute, which almost is going into a greyish, but it still has a bit of a green undertone. I'll pop these up on the screen in a moment. Oh, there's another colour called Taubmans Beige Ash, which sits really, really nicely as well. And let me see if I can find something that's slightly, Brimstone Smoke as well is another beautiful grey that has a greeny sort of undertone that sits really, really well with the Mana Red, and it does have a little bit of depth. So, and, oh, here we go. Another beautiful colour that you could use is Flint Smoke as well. I'm giving you lots of suggestions here. And, oh, that looks really, really nice. I've just found one that I think is certainly worth getting up on screen. I'll see whether I can grab it up on screen and then I can show you what I'm talking about here. Yes, it's called Sturgeon. It is beautiful. Now I will just pop my laptop, pop myself up in the corner. Hopefully we work. Beautiful. This colour, now if I were to, and I don't know whether I'm going to have success here showing you the actual, so there is your Mana Red here, and that is the colour here. So you can actually see, if I pop that up to the screen, you can actually see like paint deposited colour on my fan deck here. But that is a colour that I think you should start your colour journey with. Have a look at that, Sturgeon. And I would certainly, I'm going to come off the screen now, I would certainly recommend getting yourself a sample pot. That's going to look sensational. 3 coats, trial it outside. Again, metre by metre, piece of cardboard, and trial it outside in full sun, but also in an area where you're not getting much sun, so you can see how the colour's going to sit within the environment. But I think that's a really good place to start. And you'll find too that greys, as I said, are very much on trend, but we are also going towards greys that tend to have a little bit more warmth. It seems to be, there's a lot of new builds and new coastal homes where people are tending to work towards tones that are just slightly warmer. And I guess this tone here sort of sits between both, but it's beautiful. So I hope that helps. Okay, let me just see if I've got any more questions here. Yes, I do. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Danielle. You've written that down. Beautiful, and you can't wait. And when I finish streaming, I'm happy to write down a few of the other colours and pop them into the feed as well. All right, so one of the questions that seems to appear quite frequently on our channels, and it's no surprise that it is around whites. We do get a lot of questions around whites and around greys. And one of the questions is, do I have to paint the same white throughout my house? And that's a really good question. And I must admit, even when I've been out and about lately, I have been asked that a couple of times, excuse me. And also too, when I was recently on the weekend, we attended a a Colorsmith workshop. So hi to everybody if you're joining us from there, from Bristol Capalaba, and I actually was asked this question as well. So it is a question that's very topical, and the simple answer to your question is no, you do not need to use the same white throughout your house. So whites can vary, and obviously we've mentioned a little bit about undertones, but the reason or the varying of tones can be quite apparent. So when you've got a room that is filled with natural sunlight and it's really bright, it's better, or it's recommended, to use a white that has a cool undertone. It just sits better within the environment. And when you have a space or a room that lacks light, it's better to use a white that has a warmer undertone. And the reason being is, if it lacks light and you put in a cool color, so you're using a white or even a soft gray that has a cool undertone, the room's going to feel very dull and very gloomy, if you like, and the gray or your white can tend to look dirty. Whereas if you use a tone that has a warmer undertone, what it actually does is it warms the space up. It makes the space feel more inviting. So there is certainly nothing wrong with, selecting different whites to suit different rooms. The only thing that I would suggest, so you've got a little bit of, connection with the spaces or some cohesiveness, would be to use perhaps something like a brilliant white on your doors and trims and keep that flowing through the whole space so that there's connection. That would be the only thing that I would suggest. So certainly do not feel that you need to use one white. The one thing that I would recommend though is, if you are using whites within the space and you're going to paint your doors and trims white, make sure you use a water-based enamel. And the reason I say that is, a water-based enamel is non-yellowing. So the last thing you want to do is you're spending all this time making sure that you're getting your whites right for your space, and then you go and use an oil-based enamel, and what happens is the oil-based will golden up or turn yellow, if you like. So your beautiful white schemes, etc., are sort of distorted by yellow trims. I don't think it looks fantastic. So if you use a water-based enamel, and we certainly have a fantastic water-based enamel, I'm going to take you to my screen. Where are we? I'll pop myself up in the corner. Yeah, I'm there. And as I said before, it's www.taubmans.com.au, and this time we're going to use products and go to the drop-down menu and have a look at doors and trims. So we'll click on that. And this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a water-based enamel. It is fantastic. So the beauty of it is quick drying, very minimal smell. It has been endorsed by Sensitive Choice. So what that means is, if you or any family members in your house suffer from allergies and asthma, it's very safe to use this product. It's also got your mold and mildew inhibitors in it, and I know that where I am, every second person is talking about mold being an issue, so this is certainly a fantastic product to use. And it also has LTA, which is what we call lipophobic technology. And basically, if you Google it, what it means is it repels fats. And so one of the biggest things on your doors is the fact, well, if you're anything like what happens in my house, is we've got door handles, but we don't use them. We tend to push doors with our hands, and it's all you can wash your hands, but it's all the grease and the oils, etc., that live on your skin. And every time you push your door, it's the oils, etc., that can compromise your coating. So with LTA, it basically gives it added extra protection against all of that. So it's a fantastic product, and it is so easy to use. So I would recommend using something like that. You can get that in a low sheen, you can get it in a semi-gloss and a gloss. I'm back. Okay, so the next thing, and this is another question that we get asked quite a lot again. So would you paint the ceiling the same color as the walls? So I guess you've got to understand or work out what you want to achieve within your space and understand what your space is. So I think it's a fantastic option to paint your walls the same color as your ceiling the same color as your walls and your doors and trims. And especially if you have a space that's small and you're wanting to create the illusion of more space, I think it works really well, because where the ceiling meets the wall color here is where the eye is naturally drawn, because that's where the color changes if you have varying colors. And so what happens is the eye can sort of glance around the room, have a look and go, you know what, the space looks about so big. Whereas when it is all the one color, the eye sort of glances up and over and continues looking around, and it creates the illusion of more space. So, you know, you can certainly do that with white. It looks fantastic as well if you have a theatre room and you're wanting to create that sort of cocooned effect. And it's brilliant for a bedroom as well. Certainly you can amplify colour within a bedroom. Let's face it, a bedroom, you know, you want to create a nurturing room where you're going to sleep, relax, unwind after a hard day. And so you can certainly use the same colour on your ceiling as your walls, etc. The only thing you need to be mindful of is to ensure that you use the right products that are fit for purpose. So, you know, if you're looking at using a ceiling paint, which is generally flat, or you could use something like Taubmans Endure in matte, and then, you know, using your broad wall paint, I'm going to say Taubmans Endure again in a low sheen or a matte, and then again your doors and trims, and that's where what I've just shown you, using a water-based enamel. So certainly go for it. I think it looks fantastic, and you'll find that a lot of people, especially even as well, like if you've got really high ceilings, it looks fantastic painting the ceilings and then the walls coming down to, if you've got a dado effect, etc. It looks fantastic coming down to that as well. So there's lots of options where you can really create a fantastic relaxing space, all with the use of color. And if you're going to do that, like especially for a bedroom, I'd recommend using some beautiful, I think blue is one of the most beautiful tones to use for a bedroom, and I particularly gravitate towards a blue that tends to have a slight green undertone to it, and I think it's very tranquil and it creates a beautiful space. And again, we have some marvelous tones, and I do particularly like, and I'm going to take you back to our website, and I'm going to take you to our color trends. Let me just see. Okay, so I am back, and what I have done this time is I've taken you to our chromatic joy. So this is our 2022 to 2024 color forecast, and there are some divine colors within this space. So I'm going to view the colors. Hopefully something's going to happen here. Beautiful. And I'm going to go to a solid color. And the colors here are just beautiful. Like something like this in a bedroom space, I think would make the most beautiful, divine sleeping environment. And again, this top color here as well, I think, I tend to gravitate towards green as well. But this is where, like, if you're not sure where to start and you're wanting to have a look and see what's on trend, come to this space here and you can scroll down and you can see the beautiful tones. Like look at Daybreak. I think Daybreak is a stunning, stunning color. So if you're not too sure about committing to doing something that's quite dark and opulent, using a color like this is still going to achieve the same type of effect. It's just not going to be quite as dramatic, but it is a beautiful color. And again, here we go again, like having a look here, Hidden Source, and even the tone next to it, like Soft Look, something like that's going to work equally as well within the space. So have a look here, and you'll find that again, like if you go back to the Taubmans website, and where it says colors and it's where our color trends are, that's what you can click on, and it'll take you to what I've just showed you, as in the 2022 to 2024 color forecast. Okay, I will come back again. So the next question that we are asked frequently a lot, that's not right, we are asked a lot about, or frequently I should say, is green. Green seems to be a color that is very much on everyone's lips at the moment, and the amount of times that I'm asked about using there's two types of green that or that I am frequently asked for. And the first one is a sage style green, and I'll talk about that. I've, coined a phrase, and as it is the age of sage, because everybody's asking for that. And the second style of green that people are asking for is a farmhouse green. So obviously two different styles. So your farmhouse green is a little bit deeper, and then your sage green, well, it can vary from a beautiful silvery grey green going to a mint sort of. It depends on what your interpretation of that green is. So what I want to do is I want to show you the best way when you're unsure of selecting a colour or selecting a tone, or whether you want to go dark, light, etc., of what you can do from home. So I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey, and you would have heard me talk many times about Colorsmith. It is my favourite topic of conversation, and it is my favourite app. I absolutely love it. So tonight I'm going to take you to my screen, but what I'm going to show you is I have a beautiful, if you can see that there, beautiful sage tile. And I also have, I want to show you this. So let's go to the farmhouse green. So to create a colour, sometimes you'll need an item or an article that maybe you are drawn to, or something that may be going to feature within the space, and from that we can then build a colour scheme. So I have a fabulous piece of fabric here, and what I want to show you is I used Colorsmith and my Colorsmith reader, and I'm going to take you through that in a moment, and I created some beautiful tones that would work extremely well for farmhouse green. So I'm going to see whether I can put this up on the screen without it. So you can see here there's varying tones of green, and then there are three beautiful greens that I've been able to capture from this piece of fabric and then create some colour with. So, something like this might be featuring, it might be a piece of artwork, it may be some cushions that are going to feature within the space, and from that you can create colour. So I'm going to take you to my iPad. Let me just do that. Fantastic. So straight to Colorsmith. So what you need to do is download the Colorsmith app. And from that, once you click on the Colorsmith app, you are brought to a screen that looks like this. Now, the way that I'm going, there are many ways that we can create colour, and you can do it by taking a photograph of something and uploading a photo within the app itself, and then using the eye and pinpointing a colour and creating it and bringing it to life that way. Or you can use the Colorsmith reader, which I have here, and I'm going to use that tonight because I want to show you how I can create a colour from a tile, and then from that show you colours that will go with the colour that I've created from the tile, so that you've got an idea of being able to use the other colours to dress your space. So I have my tile, I have the Colorsmith reader. So I have woken it up and I've double tapped it, and as you can see, it is flashing blue. So from here I go match, connect device. Look at that, it has connected straight away. So now I'm going to pop the reader, as you can see they're up in the corner, and I'm going to hit create from match. I'm going to hit scan color. Oops, I've got the shakes. And look at that, it has brought up the most beautiful green. You can see that there. And from that, I now can go select, and here I can save my color. So I can call it whatever I'd like to call it. So this is the beauty, that you can actually give your color name some meaning. So I'm going to probably be very boring tonight. And there we go, the age of sage green. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is save color. So now I'm brought to a screen that looks like this. So it is so easy from here. So now where it says order in store, I hit on that. It populates a QR code, and from that QR code, here's something that I have prepared earlier, I can walk into my hardware store, they will scan that, and that QR code contains the recipe to create your paint. So have a look at this. Here is, I hope you can see that, here is my tile, here is the paint color. So that is my Age of Sage Green. What a match, spot on. So from that, where it says share, I can share this across all of my social media channels. I can airdrop it, text, email, send it to my painter and say, here we go, this is what I want, I need this, etc. Now the other thing that I can do as well, I'll just go back, is where it says combinations, I can select combinations. So now, look at these tones. I am brought up to a screen that has the most beautiful tones, and I gravitate, I don't know that I can get, yeah, look at that colour just below the green now. I gravitate towards dusty, beautiful pinks, and I think they sit extremely well with you know, your sage style green. So I would, if I'm building a colour palette, I would use that beautiful dusty pink, and even not the next tone, but the one after it. So the green that has that very much a blue undertone. I think that the three tones there would look sensational within a space. And I could use the green for something like, if I'm doing my kitchen, I could use the green for highlight cabinetry, or I could have it as a wraparound on my island bench. And then, you know, for the pink may be something they'll want to accessorize with. And then that beautiful sort of bluey green, it's almost got a slight tinge of grey to it as well. I might use that to perhaps incorporate some soft furnishings or something within the rest of that space. So if you're looking for colour, you're not sure where to start, this is where I would direct you. Hop onto Colorsmith and then create a colour and then leverage combinations. It gives you everything that you need, so you don't need to think about what colour is going to work with the colour that I have. It does it all for you. It is so easy. So I think I've pretty well covered quite a lot tonight, even though we had a bit of a hiccup as we first started. So I do apologise about that again. I'm going to conclude our session just to let you all know that I will be sitting back, not on the screen, but back behind the computer for a further half an hour or so to answer any further questions that do come through. But I'd like to thank you all very much for joining our session this evening, and wish you a wonderful and happy week. We look forward to seeing you again next week, and until then, stay safe everybody, and as I always say, happy painting. Thanks very much. Good evening.